Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're plunging into something truly fascinating, maybe a bit unsettling too. Exorcism.
Hmm.
It's often just horror movie stuff in our minds, right?
Right, but the reality is much more complex. So our goal here is to sort of peel back those layers of sensationalism.
Okay.
We want to look at exorcism as, well, a cultural thing, a historical one, and definitely a psychological phenomenon too.
Yep.
Trying to get a balanced, evidence-based view.
Sounds good. So where do we even start with something this big? We'll trace its journey from ancient origins, look at how different religions handle it,
The sheer variety is amazing.
and then tackle that tricky line between, spiritual belief and mental health. Plus the ethical side, the real harms that can happen.
Exactly. So at its most basic level, exorcism is essentially a religious or spiritual practice. It's about trying to remove some kind of malevolent entity, a spirit or demon, from a person or even a place.
And it's not new. It feels ancient because it is. We're talking Egyptians, Babylonians. They often saw illness as demonic. It seems like a very human way to try and explain things we just don't understand.
Absolutely. It's a near universal impulse, really. But how they do it varies wildly. Take Judaism, for instance. They talk about the Dybbuk, which isn't always purely evil, maybe more like a restless spirit.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, and the ritual might involve a pious person, prayers like psalms, maybe even the shofar sound. It reflects a specific theological understanding.
And Christianity, of course, with Jesus' actions in the Gospels. By the mid-3rd century, they actually had a formal office of exorcist. And, that movie, The Exorcist in 73.
Huge impact.
Huge. It really sparked a modern resurgence, especially in the U.S. Catholic rites still use the official Ritual Romanum holy water, the classic stuff.
Then in Islam, there's ruqya. That's a practice using Quranic verses to deal with jinns. Jinns are interesting. They can be good or bad, believers or not, and might possess someone for reasons like revenge or even love.
Wow.
Yeah, the practice can involve negotiation, trying to reason with the jinn, even trying to convert it. And you see similar ideas elsewhere. Hindu mantras for entities like Bhut, Buddhist chanting like Parita to ward off negativity.
So it's definitely not one single thing called exorcism. It's deeply tied into each specific tradition's view of the spirit world, wouldn't you say?
Precisely. Each tradition shapes the understanding and the method.
Okay, but here's where it gets really challenging, right? That line between supposed spiritual possession and what we now understand as medical or psychological conditions, historically that line was paper thin or non-existent.
It really was. And many symptoms that were once automatically labeled possession, things like hearing voices, drastic personality shifts, seizures, are now recognizable symptoms of conditions like schizophrenia or dissociative identity disorder, DID, or neurological issues like epilepsy. Though interestingly, even some ancient texts, like in the Bible, seem to make a distinction sometimes between illness and demonic influence.
And skeptics, naturally, point to the lack of solid proof. The kind of dramatic things you see in movies, levitation, speaking languages, the person never knew, that stuff just isn't reliably documented in real cases.
Not really, no. Those accounts are often explained by suggestibility, maybe intense psychological distress manifesting physically, or sometimes outright fraud, unfortunately.
So when an exorcism seems to work, what's likely happening?
Well, a lot of it likely comes down to psychology. The power of belief is immense. If someone truly believes they are possessed and then undergoes a powerful, authoritative ritual they believe will cure them.
The placebo effect, essentially.
They can function very much like that, yes.
Yeah.
The belief in the cure can itself alleviate the psychosomatic or psychological symptoms.
Which makes careful diagnosis absolutely critical. It's good that major religious bodies, like the Catholic Church you mentioned, now insist on it. Thorough medical checks, psych evaluations before even considering a major exorcism.
That's a vital development. It shows a recognition that these things often overlap or are purely medical.
Because the consequences of getting it wrong, they can be horrific.
Truly devastating. Misdiagnosing severe mental illness as possession and performing an exorcism instead of getting medical help has led to terrible suffering, abuse, and even death.
Yeah, some of those cases are just heartbreaking. You read about the autistic boy in Milwaukee in 2003 killed during a ritual, or that young nun in Romania in 2005.
Bound and deprived, yes.
Or Christy Bamu, only 14, beaten and drowned in London in 2010 by family members who thought she was possessed. It's hard to even comprehend.
And these tragedies lead to really complex legal situations. You see conflicting outcomes, like a Texas court emphasizing First Amendment religious freedom versus a UK case where damages were awarded for the psychiatric harm caused by an exorcism attempt. There's a lot of legal gray area.
But there is a positive trend, you think,
Yeah.
towards more caution.
Definitely. Driven by these terrible cases and a better understanding of mental health, many mainstream groups, absolutely including the Catholic Church, have put strict ethical guidelines in place. Utmost circumspection and prudence, they call it.
Requiring those medical and psych evaluations first.
Yes, acknowledging the potential for harm and the need to work with medical professionals, not instead of them.
Now, we have to talk about the cultural impact, especially The Exorcist. That film wasn't just a movie, was it? It, fundamentally changed how people saw this.
It really did. It created this incredibly powerful and largely inaccurate image of demonic possession that seeped into the public consciousness. It actually led to a noticeable spike in people claiming possession afterward.
Kind of feedback loop.
Exactly. It shows how powerfully media, even fiction, can shake belief and, for some, their perceived reality. It made the need for careful discernment even greater.
So even with science offering explanations and even after debunking the Hollywood myths, this idea of exorcism just persists. It clearly taps into something deep in us.
It does. It touches on fundamental human fears about evil, about suffering, about forces beyond our control, and maybe the limits of our own minds.
So wrapping this up, exorcism is this incredibly complex weave of ancient beliefs, different religious paths, the mysteries of the mind, and, the undeniable power of culture.
That's a great summary. We've seen the huge variety across traditions underline that critical need to distinguish between potential spiritual issues and mental health.
Right, and highlighted the very real ethical dangers and safety concerns. Careful judgment and cooperation seem essential.
Absolutely. And perhaps the key takeaway for you listening is that the truth here isn't a simple yes or no. It's something much more nuanced. It requires looking through the lenses of history, religion, psychology, anthropology, medicine, all of it.
So maybe the final thought is this. What does our continued fascination with exorcism tell us about ourselves? About how we try to make sense of the things we can't easily explain? And how much our beliefs can shape the world we experience? Something to ponder. Until next time, stay curious.